This is Financially Fit Radio with Corey Sickles from Safe Harbor Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Corey provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Financially Fit Radio with Corey Sickles.
Welcome to another episode of Financially Fit Radio. I'm Corey Sickles, representing the team here at Safe Harbor Retirement Group and Wealth Advisors. If you'd like more information about the insights on today's show, just don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can always give us a call at 614-760-0670 or visit us online at safeharboroh.com. While you're exploring our website, be sure to navigate to that radio page. There you can catch up on previous shows and even subscribe to our program through popular podcast platforms like Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, or Spotify. For engaging visual content on various financial topics, feel free to drop by our YouTube page as well. You can just search for Safe Harbor Retirement Group. You know, we're here to address any inquiries you might have or to arrange either an in-person or virtual meeting. And remember, all meetings are complimentary and carry no obligation. Your financial well-being is our priority, so let us know how we can assist you the best. Today, we're going to talk about something that I think most financial advisors would like most of our clients to do, and that is save. So we're going to kind of dive into some of the really what the importance of saving is. You know, saving money is crucial for several reasons, and it plays a fundamental role in personal finance and financial well-being. So we're going to talk about some of those key reasons why saving is so important. And of course, the earlier you save, the easier it's going to be on you for your retirement. But before we dive into that topic, let me introduce to you my co-host this week and every week, and that's Tony Shore. Tony, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Corey. I've had a great week so far, and, you know, we were talking a little bit before the show. I spent last weekend, we had a party for my mom and dad. It was their 60th wedding anniversary, and my dad told everyone 60 years of marriage, 10 years of marital bliss. And then they asked my mom, how do you do it? How do you stay happily married for 60 years? And she said, he was gone a lot. So yes, they're jokesters, but they still have that spirit. I mean, my mom is in a home with Parkinson's, and my dad's not been doing too well, but they still have their sense of humor about them, and I love that. So
that's good.
That's
60 years is a long time.
Yes, they've lasted a long time, great relationship. They've been a good example to me over the years, so that's good. So I'm doing good. How about you, Corey? Now you just you golfed a little over the weekend, right?
Yeah, went down to Wheeling, West Virginia, and did a little bit of golf with 12 of us guys. Had like a little mini Ryder Cup, so it was a good time. And I was on the winning team, which is always best.
Oh, that's good. Of course they had you. You're basically a scratch golfer. You could be a pro if you wanted. I know that.
Yep.
We all know that, Corey.
We have a little trophy, so the trophy will reside on my mantle for the next year. But
there you go.
But I doubt if it's on my manual. I don't think Melissa's going to allow me to actually have that.
She doesn't want the little trophy displayed prominently in the living room there on the fireplace mantle.
No, she doesn't, but I'll probably sneak it up there a few times to see if she notices it.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, that sounds like fun. So I know you've put together a great show for us today, Corey. What are we talking about?
Well, we're really going to talk about, really what the importance of saving is. And, if you go back, and I'm going to go back to 2020, when COVID hit, and people are out of jobs, or if depending on where you're working, maybe your hours were cut and things like that. But if you save properly, one of the things that you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to save, for emergencies. An emergency is when you might lose your job, or you might have any type of a medical expense or car repairs. Air conditioner goes out. Who knows what all those little things that actually happen. That's why it's so important. You really should have a minimum of 3 months of whatever your monthly expenses are. But, I do like about 6 months, a little bit better if you can actually get into a situation like that. There's so many Americans out there that live paycheck to paycheck. And, if something just unexpectedly does happen, it's going to allow you to be able, to handle that financial crisis at that point in time. And what the big part of that is, if you don't have emergency savings, Tony, you still might have to pay for some of these things, which now could actually lead to debt, right? And that's one thing that you always want to try to avoid if possible, is debt, especially with high interest credit cards or loans to cover some of your expenses.
Yeah, that's huge. Obviously, you want to make sure that you have an emergency fund saved up. You want to make sure you're saving enough for retirement. So this is an important topic, and I know this is something you help your clients with, isn't it?
It is. Here's the way there's a couple things to also think about, right? One of the things that I think that happens a lot is if you have financial issues, right? My guess is those issues are going to lead to stress too, right? So financial stress is really a leading cause of anxiety, and it can impact your overall well-being. Savings can help reduce this stress by providing you that sense of financial security. No one likes anxiety. It can cause issues even within the household. If you're always worried about how you're going to pay that next bill, it creates stress not only for you, but if you're married, it also creates additional stress for your spouse and really for your marriage as well, Tony.
Yeah, it's the number one cause of divorce is financial stress and financial issues.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I think by saving, it's going to be able to eliminate, it's going to also give you that peace of mind, right, Tony? Knowing your savings is going to, when you save, it's going to bring you that peace of mind. It's going to allow you to sleep better at night, and it's going to give you, the financial freedom to act as well when things do pop up. And let's face it, we always have unexpected things that do pop up. You were telling me, a couple weeks ago, how you just went to the county fair there, and next thing you know, your cars can't even do anything, right?
Yep. It's supposed to be done today. Actually, they found a way to fix it, but you're right. It was a huge expense that just came up unexpectedly. I mean, we'd never had one issue with the car, and then an axle piece broke. And so it wouldn't even drive. So, yeah.
And it seems like anytime I ever go in and get my car looked at or, get a routine checkup on it or whatever you're doing, they always have a list. And that list is always minimum of $500, probably closer to $1,000 every time you pop in there. And, those little $1,000 things add up, especially if you're going to put it on a credit card, which is, the one thing that you don't want to do. So anything that you can do to avoid debt is going to put you in a better situation, not only today, but also the longer term. We're really talking about maybe your retirement or leaving a legacy or whatever you might want to do, with that money that you are saving as you kind of go through your years.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be careful, and you don't want to put stuff on a credit card. If credit card debt is the worst, because the interest is so high. If you use a credit card, you have to be disciplined enough to pay it off each month. Otherwise, don't use a credit card.
Yeah, right? Exactly right. I mean, I've always been on, this is me personally, I've always, when I started back, 25 years ago, I got an Amex card, an American Express card. And the one reason why I have it is it forces me to pay it off every month. And, now over the years, American Express has been trying to get me some additional points or whatever else in order to try to have that where they can charge interest where I don't pay it off. But I always, I'll never select that. The way I look at it is I'm a spend within my means. If I can't pay the bill, then I shouldn't be, buying those items that I'm purchasing for that particular month.
Right. Yep, exactly.
And credit card debt can be, it's a huge stress. It causes issues, and with with interest rates going up now, they're over 20% that you're going to be paying on a monthly basis, and that's just something that you just you don't want to be able to do.
Yeah, Yeah, interest rates are really they've really skyrocketed, so you've got to watch out. That can really contribute to your debt. That means interest rates on credit cards are even higher, and they're always high, but they're higher than ever now. I mean, I've seen 24, 25% is pretty common on a credit card right now.
Yeah, it is.
And that's crazy.
It is.
And, mortgages, loans, so, you might want to hold off on major purchases.
Yeah, I mean, we're right around, 7% probably now for mortgages as well.
Yeah, it's over 7% for most mortgages. Yep.
Right. So, I mean, that's something that, I mean, I think when I'm going back and remember, Tony, but when I purchased my first house, those are where those interest rates were. Eventually they came down, and you refinanced maybe a couple of times in order to do that. But, here in the Columbus market, there's just not enough houses on the market. Houses are still, getting a premium price here. But, now it's going to cost a lot more for that mortgage payment, just for the fact of where interest rates are. Basically, you're going from 3.5% to 7%. You're paying twice the cost, for interest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really affects your monthly payments too. And I remember my wife and I, when we bought our first house, it was actually in near Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh,
and
yeah.
The interest rates, the price of the house was amazingly inexpensive for the house we got, but the interest rate was almost 9%.
Yep. It can be.
So that's
was back
really
in the
high.
day. I mean, we're used to that. I mean, the new generation coming out, I mean, they're going 7%. What's that even? Because the only thing they know is low interest rates.
Yeah, the 0 to 3 is the range that they're used to, and usually closer to 0 for an auto loan. You can get but now those loans are going up. So again, even more reason to work with a financial professional like yourself, Corey, to save. Now, Corey, why don't we take a minute here to let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you to set up that no-charge consultation to get a plan in place, a spending plan?
Yeah, no problem, Tony. For our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can always visit us online at safeharboroh.com. Now, as I always say, if you don't have a financial plan today, you need to have one tomorrow. We can put one in place for you. Or if you do have one, we can be that second set of eyes and provide a second opinion. Our goal is to make sure that you're going to have the best retirement or a worry-free retirement. And the only way to be able to do that is to have a financial plan in place. It's a roadmap. It's going to show you where you are today and where do you have to go in order to have that successful retirement. So again, give us a call at 614-760-0670 or just visit us online at safeharboroh.com. Well, Tony, we're talking about the importance of saving. And, we've stressed on this show before quite a few times. And really, the earlier that you start saving, the easier it's going to be, or the less you actually have to save to have the retirement that you wish. And a big portion of that is due to what we call compound interest, right? It's amazing what compound interest can do over 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. If you're saving early and you're saving consistently, it's going to allow your money to grow, through that compound interest. And this means your savings generate earnings, and those earnings can also earn money over time as well. It's, Albert Einstein said it's really the eighth wonder of the world, right? Compound interest is. And it's just amazing because it is tough out there, right? When you're in your 20s, or maybe your 30s, you're just getting your career started, you're starting to save a little bit, and all of a sudden, bam, now you have children, and you got to start paying for them, potentially paying for college. But the one thing that you always have to do during all those years is you need to find a way to still be able to save for retirement. Not get in debt, save for retirement, because I'm just telling you, if you start waiting till you're 50, you're going to have to save twice as much as you would need to. If you started, earlier in your 20s or 30s. So it's something that's very important. You need to save as much as possible, as early as possible, because it's going to make your life a lot easier when you do decide you want to try to be able to retire.
Sure. And so when it comes to retirement, save early, save often. is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
And it's like the old saying, and I've mentioned this on the show before, but I love it, and the analogy works perfectly here. When's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, right?
That's right.
The best time to plant a tree would have been 20 years ago, but the second best time to plant a tree is today. So, the earlier you can start with something like a tree that needs time to grow, the earlier the better. But if you haven't started, the best time is right now. And so I encourage our listeners to do that. They need to work with a financial advisor like yourself, who's going to be looking out for their best interests, and the pitfalls to avoid costly mistakes and how to turn that savings into a solid retirement income. And that's very important. So saving for retirement, it's one thing to save for an emergency fund or save up for that trip, but you have to be putting money away nowadays, especially when you get your first full-time job. You've got to start saving for retirement, and you've got to, put more in. I would say give till it hurts a little bit.
You do. That is just so important when we start talking about retirement planning, Tony. The earlier that you do it, it's going to make it a lot easier for you, right? And it's also going to make sure that you have enough money when you do want to retire, to have the lifestyle that you want to be able to have. Don't depend just solely on Social Security, for the majority of your income while you're in retirement. Who knows what that's going to look like in 15, 20, 25, 30 years from now when we start talking about Social Security. Companies got rid of pensions a long time ago. There's some out there that still have them, but the majority of workers out there today do not have pensions. They created those 401ks or 403bs or thrift savings plans, or depending on where you work. But at the end of the day, it's an IRA, and you're going to have to be able to create your own retirement. What type of lifestyle do you want to have? And it's all dependent upon what you're being able to save. So, one question I always get is, well, how much money should I save? And, obviously you want to save as much as you can, but you really should be in a minimum of 10 to 15% of that paycheck should be going into some type of savings vehicle in order to help you prepare for retirement.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to start saving, and it reminds me. It reminds me of this one, Corey.
Well, I just think we should be building a nest egg.
Exactly right.
Marge Simpson knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And by building that nest egg, it's also going to give you a lot of independence on how you make decisions too, Tony. Yeah. And what I mean by that is, with savings, you're going to be better positioned to make decisions based on your preferences and needs rather than being forced into choices, by financial constraints. You might have to, if you have savings, you know that you're going to be able to pay for that, right? But if you don't have a savings, you're probably going to have to whip that credit card out or some other way in order to pay for something that you absolutely need to be able to have done. So, independence is key. And it's going to relieve that stress as well. But again, when you start working with an advisor, we're going to be able to show you where you sit today. And based upon what you're spending today, we can put together a plan that's going to show you this is what you're doing today. This is what it's going to look like 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now. It's important to be able to see that. I have so many clients, or prospects come in the very first time. A lot of times I just want to say a lot of them might be doing a great job saving, but they don't know what that means when I do want to retire. So that's why it's so important to get to really be able to get a flash of where you are today. But more importantly, what am I doing today, and what's that going to mean to me, when I do retire? One of the most difficult things I think people have to understand is, I got this nest egg. How long is that going to last me in retirement?
Right.
And
that's huge. And knowing how long it's going to last and how much you need, that's the trick right there. Those are the key questions you need to ask. And you really can't accurately answer those without working with somebody who goes through this day after day. I mean, the rest of us, we're only going to go through that retirement process once. Corey, you're going through it every day with your clients and people you meet with and new prospects. So I encourage our listeners to give you a call, because obviously you need to work with a financial services professional like yourself, especially a fiduciary who's going to look out for your best interest to come up with that plan. That's the trick, is taking the money you saved and creating an income with it. And how do I know I'm saving enough? Isn't that a big question you get from a lot of people?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the number one thing is, am I saving enough, and what's it really going to do for me when I actually, get to that time to start taking money out of it? And I think a big mistake that a lot of people make, and this has a lot to do with because maybe they're not educated. I mean, they're not educated enough, or they haven't sat down with an advisor. But I'm a firm believer is when you save, you also want to save the right way. I see so many people that are actually saving so much money into IRAs or 401ks or 403bs. And the one thing they don't realize is basically when it does grow tax deferred, but all of a sudden when you start taking that money out, now you got to pay taxes on that. So you want to be able to make sure that not only are you saving, but you're also doing it from a smart standpoint. You want to be smart about how you save, because there's nothing better than, like a Roth account. Yes, you do put after-tax money in, but it grows tax-free and you're never going to pay tax on that again. And so many companies now are offering, Roth 401ks within their plans too. So that gives you, the investor or the consumer, right, or the employee, the ability to be able to actually put that money into a Roth 401k instead of a traditional 401k. So yes, you do pay taxes today, but then here's the beauty of it. We know what tax rate you're in today. We don't know what that tax rate's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Right. And we have historically low tax rates right now. So Roths may be a good answer for you. It depends on your situation, but I'm glad you brought up taxes, Corey, because when it comes to saving, especially for retirement, you need to look at how the money you're saving will be taxed and when it will be taxed. So you need to understand your tax situation. That's a big part of saving. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's a huge part, because the number, back onto what you were just saying, Tony, a lot of times a client or a prospect will sit across from me and they'll say, you know what, when I retire, I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket. Well, in most cases, if you take 70 to 80% of what you earn today, and that's what you want to have in retirement, there's a good chance that that's not going to move your tax bracket. Yeah. So the question is the 12% going to be a 12%? Is the 22% going to be a 22%, 10 years from now? It's not going to be any lower. So the only thing it probably can be is higher. So, it's always, I'm a firm believer, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. And the best way to be able to do that is to be able to make sure you're diversified from a tax saving standpoint as well.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Corey? It flew by today. We're out of time for today's show. I can't believe it. But before we go, let our listeners know how they can set up that no charge, no obligation consultation with you to get a plan in place to make sure they're saving enough for retirement.
Yeah, no problem, Tony. For our listeners out there, just give us a call at 614-760-0670, or you can visit us online at safeharboroh.com. Again, we're here to help and prepare you for the retirement that you want. The best way to do that is to schedule a complimentary no-obligation meeting with us. We'll sit down, put together a financial plan, show you where you are today, show you what that roadmap's going to look like for you in the future. And again, if you already have a financial plan, we can be that second set of eyes and provide you a second opinion. So just give us a call again at 614-760-0670, or just visit us online at safeharboroh.com. Join us next week for another episode of Financially Fit Radio.
Thank you for listening to Financially Fit Radio. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, contact Corey Sickles at Safe Harbor Retirement Group. Call 614-760-0670 or visit their website at financiallyfitoh.com.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.